Republican presidential nominee and former President Donald Trump made a personal prayer visit on Monday to the Ohel. The resting place of Rabbi Menachem M. Schneerson, the former leader of the Chabad movement. Trump was joined by the parents and brother of Eden Alexander, a hostage currently held by terrorists in Gaza, as well as Auschwitz survivor Jerry Wartsky and 2 Jewish college students who have faced anti-Semitism on campus. Upon entering the Rebbe's tent, Trump made a donation to the movement. Wearing a kippah, Trump prayed during the visit. His daughter Ivanka and son-in-law Jared Kushner have paid regular private visits to the Ohel before both of his presidential elections.
Donald Trump converted to Judaism 2 years ago, according to White House official. There it is. That's his blog. He said, President Donald Trump converted to Judaism 2 years ago and joined Chabad Lubavitch Synagogue in New York City, according to a high-level White House official. Mr. Goldberg says the story has allegedly been held by CNN's editors for months, but is due to be released within the next few days. David Elias Goldberg, a fellow at the Jewish Center of Anti-Semitic Study, has also interviewed the White House source. According to the source, Trump was pushed by his daughter Ivanka and son-in-law Jared Kushner to join the faith. At first, Trump resisted, stating it would threaten his base of evangelical Christian voters. However, he had a change of heart and officially converted in early 2017. The ceremony was held in private and closely guarded for nearly 2 years. It appears the White House is prepared to slowly release this information, and by summer, it is expected Trump will fully address his new faith in an evening televised news conference. He is clearly the most pro-Israel president in the history of America. He is clearly the most pro-Israel president in the history of America. He's given Israel every single thing that they've wanted, and he's about to give them war with Iran.
Okay.
And so, has he converted? So, I want to show you one more article. This is, let me see if I can.
This is the Times of Israel.
Yeah, the Times of Israel. This was published March 22nd, 2019. This is the Times of Israel. Trump, the first Jewish president of the United States.
Now, that's not us saying that. That's Times of Israel. Times of what nation? Israel.
So the people in Israel, that's an English-speaking newspaper in Israel, and that's what they read, that Donald Trump is the first Jewish president of the United States.
By the way, come here. Get over. Say a couple of words. Come on. It's an honor to be here with the first Jewish president of the United States.
And how did they qualify that, Rick?
They gave a list of things that he did for Israel.
First of one, of course, moving the embassy to Jerusalem.
That's right.
That was a big deal.
Then recognizing Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. He's the first sitting U.S. president to visit the Western Wall. They gave him credit for defeating ISIS. They gave him credit for rebuking the United Nations when the UN criticized Israel. They credited him with closing the Palestinian office in Washington, D.C. And they said these things, what is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these 6 things qualify Donald Trump to be named the first Jewish president of the United States.
That's what the Times of Israel said.
Again, that was not David Duke's newsletter.
Right.
It's a Jewish-owned newspaper. And they're proclaiming Donald Trump to be the first Jewish president of the United States. So now when you look at this David Elias Goldberg saying that a White House insider told him that President Trump converted to Judaism 2 years ago.
Suddenly it doesn't sound so crazy, does it?
Now it's not too crazy. And that CNN knows about it, and CNN is sitting on the story and will be releasing it at some point.
Through the centuries, the Jews have endured terrible persecution, and those seeking their destruction, we will seek their destruction. We have to bring back the death penalty. They have to pay the ultimate price. My beautiful Christians, I love you Christians. I'm not Christian. I love you. Get out. You gotta get out and vote. Christians, I'm not Christian. I'm not Christian. I'm not Christian. I'm not Christian. Get out. You gotta get out and vote.
It was history's darkest hour. Millions of innocent, wonderful, and beautiful lives, men, women, and children, were extinguished as part of a systematic attempt to eliminate the Jewish people. It was the most savage crime against God and His children.
We were so deeply moved to see that picture of you touching the stones of the wall. And may I say, we were deeply moved to see First Lady Melania Trump touching the stone of that wall. And equally moved when we saw your daughter Ivanka and your son-in-law Jared do the same.
Okay, so let's just, what if it's true? What if it's true? What does that say to you, Doc?
That says to me there's been such a major shift in values in America. It's no longer Judeo-Christian values anymore. It's Judeo values now.
Yes. Yes.
But I believe the one who's going to switch from Yahweh to Yavoid is Donald Trump. He will turn America from Yahweh to Yavoid, because everything he says indicates that. He's going to really be a tremendous president in the United States. Tremendous. He's going to stand up to all the nations of the world. He's going to side with Israel when he realizes that they cannot make peace with Israel, as I've said before, because it's theologically impossible. And that's why I believe, remember I said that the gematria of Donald Trump is Gemat Mashiach ben David. You know what that means? He, I believe, is the Mashiach of Edom. But Mashiach is nothing more than an anointed one, right? That completely reverses the order of something. Trump, I believe, is the Messiah of Edom, of Esau. And therefore, he will take them from Ya'aved to Ya'avoid. From someone who afflicts Israel to someone who will assist them. And believe me, he's going to be fabulous with the Jewish people.
We will not rest until the horrible and vile ideology of anti-Semitism has been defeated and destroyed. For this reason, I recently signed an executive order to restrict federal funding to any college or university that spreads, supports, or promotes anti-Semitic prejudice in any form.
President Trump's right ear was grazed in a symbolic gesture of Exodus 21:6, where the Torah states that a servant who wants to remain with his master needs to have his right ear pierced. Trump was designated as God's servant and anointed one, just like Cyrus the Great almost 2,400 years ago. Needs to have his right ear pierced.
I want to promise you one thing. If Trump was the president right now, we would be able to win 10 times faster and 10 times better against our Nazi enemies. He would give us any weapon we want, unconditional. He wouldn't care what the world is barking about. He would shut down these European liberals and tell them just be quiet. I run the show here.
What I believe is that the one who is going to switch from Esau from persecuting the Jews to Esau who is serving the Jews is Donald Trump. Rabbi Kessin claims he is going to purify Edom.
President Donald Trump was the first American president who stood up in defiance to the entrenched and endemic anti-Israel attitude of all previous U.S. administrations towards our presence in the Holy Land. Only he or somebody like him would be the person who deserves this great honor of representing Western society and fulfilling the prophecy uttered to our matriarch Rebecca. The elder one will serve the younger one. Trump was designated as God's servant and anointed one, just like Cyrus the Great almost 2,400 years ago. And I have good reason to believe Donald Trump was chosen to be the one to redeem the sins of Esau through offering his assistance in rebuilding the Holy Temple on the Temple Mount and establishing the Jewish kingdom over all of mankind in Jerusalem.
This was a special token of affection given by myself and the First Lady to Prime Minister and the First Lady of Israel. And it's a key. We call it a key to the White House, and it's a key to our country and to our hearts.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I have said, and this is true, that you have the key to the hearts of the people of Israel because of all the great things you've done for the Jewish state and the Jewish people. So thank you.
And on the other side, we have three symbols. We are very happy to announce that the Mikdash Educational Center just produced a new Cyrus Trump temple coin.
Charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem.
President Trump is starting a prophetic process by moving the American embassy to Jerusalem. Just like King Cyrus 2,500 years ago said, he charged me to build a house in Jerusalem. Here again, President Trump is building a house in Jerusalem.
First off, before Mashiach comes, there's going to be a war called Gog Magog, the war of all wars. This war is going to the Prophet Zechariah chapter 14. If anyone wants to get really, really scared, go to the Prophet Zechariah chapter 14. It describes a nuclear war that destroys the world. It tells you how people are going to melt, the eyes are going to spill like liquid. So the point is that Zechariah says that this war initially is going to destroy 2/3 of the population. So you have 8 billion people in the world. Right off the bat, 6 billion, a gun.
We're told that nations will go to war against Jerusalem. These nations will fail. They will be destroyed. They're described in detail in these two books, Ezekiel 38 and 39, and Zechariah, just the last chapter. The war is going to be two parts, two nations, or two corporations of nations that will go to war against Jerusalem, and they will be utterly destroyed.
Well, the interesting thing about it is that there will be a war which is predicted in Ezekiel 38, 39, that it's called the War of Gog and Magog, or in English, Gog and Magog, I think. That war is a messianic war. It's a war against the Mashiach and the Jews, because the nations of the world realize that the truth has arrived and that their time is over. And this will be the last attempt to recapture Israel and try to restore their former glory. Then at that war, the Mashiach ben David arrives. That's when he comes in. He enters the stage and he wipes them all out.
There's a war of Gog and Magog. First one, as the Chafetz Chaim said, was 100 years ago, World War I. Second one was World War II. And we're on the cusp of the third one. But the purpose of all of these wars, of the Gog and Magog wars, to get everything into its correct order, to bring the Jewish people, to raise us up to the point where we are potentially supposed to be the spiritual leaders of the world, as well as the physical leaders of the world.
And I'll just share with you some of the elements of what they describe as what will be going on in the world right prior to the Messianic age. We're told that there'll be epidemics and horrible diseases. We're told that there'll be international wars and conflicts, that there'll be famines, that there will be poverty and runaway inflation.
What are the two nations that will last until Mashiach comes? Rome and Persia. Now, if you would like to think that today's Iran is Persia, then maybe you say, okay, I got the whole story. Rome is today America. Rome is, the heirs of the ancient European world, the Roman dynasty. That's the United States of America. And Iran, that's Persia. So, at the end of days, it's going to be World War III between Iran and the United States of America.
I was visiting Jonathan in his Jewish Voice, so I went to the Jewish deli. And of course, we had the discussion on Trump. And I asked them, who is Trump to you? And you know what they said? Trump is our new Messiah, actually.
Mr. President, for the first time in my lifetime, I see a real hope for change.
We are more than friends. We are great allies. We have so many opportunities in front of us. Israel is an inspiration, a trusted ally, and a cherished friend. The United States will always stand by its side.
Mr. President, our dear friend, Donald, you have shown consistently incredible support for Israel